Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where we are going to be playing around with the new Lethal Cosmetics After Dark palette. I was really excited about this one. I just got it in the mail, I think it was on Tuesday I got it. Anyway, here it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swatch it for you. I'm going to show you 3 different looks, including this one, and I will give you my thoughts on whether I think it is any good, worth it, should you get it, and any kind of maybe suggestions I might have to improve it. Anyway, if that sounds interesting, please keep watching. Alright guys, I love Lethal Cosmetics, and I think for those of you who've been watching for a few months, you know that it's one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. So when this was announced, I was like so excited. I just wanted to grab the, where are the stickers? Oh, they're there. So this is what it looks like. So it comes in the sleeve. It's very early 90s inspired, which I love. I was young in the early 90s, so like kind of mid-childhood, early teens kind of thing. So for me, it's a time period I do remember quite well, and this color palette, like not the actual shades inside, but this aesthetic on the outside and these stickers that came with it, like it's very early 90s and like Saved by the Bell vibes. Like that's what I get from this particular packaging and everything. So I love that period. It's very nostalgic for me. So when I saw what they were doing with this, I knew I was going to have to pick it up. Pretty simple. Not a lot of thought went into that. And then because I love Lethal Cosmetics, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Of course, you're gonna buy this. And I did, of course. What I got, just so you know, is I got the palette. I picked up one of the gel liners in black. I haven't played with this yet. I'll just open it so you can see what it looks like. I'm slightly scared of liners in pots. So, so this is what it looks like. It's just a black, so I will play with that and I will come back with some feedback on that later on, but I'm a little bit nervous of that. And then what else did I get? Where are you? And then I also picked up one of the, are these the liquid lipsticks? Yeah. And I got it in black. I was actually going to do it with this look, but I have to go out after this, and I know the blacks can be sometimes a bit hard to get off the lips, and I wasn't about that anyway. So if you want to see it, that's what it looks like. And it's really a nice true black, and I want to compare this against the Lunar Beauty black one, which I really like as well. So I will try these out at a later date, and I will let you know what I think. But for today, let's just go ahead and focus on the eyeshadow palette. So here's what it looks like. So mine came pre-assembled. Okay, so everything was in the component as you see it now. Usually when I order from Lethal, the shadows are in like a little sachet on their own, and you have to undo them and then put them into the palette yourself, because most of the time the palettes are make your own, so you kind of create them yourself. But this one comes pre-made for you. Okay, so we will go and do swatches of all of these different colors. However, okay, just so you can see, so on the back you can pop them out. So let me just do that for one. It pops out, and you can always switch it with a different one. However, unfortunately, they don't have the names on the back. If we look at one of the normal Lethal palettes, they usually have a sticker on the back that has the name on it. So these ones don't. So there's no names on them. I just got black all over me. Good job, Carolyn, good job. So they don't come with anything on the back of them. So I have my computer here so I can read off the names of each of the different shades for you, and then when we talk about them, I'll know which ones I'm talking about. That was repetitive. You get where I was going with that. Okay, eyeshadow everywhere. So let's go ahead and start swatching. We'll go ahead and go across this way. So the first shade is a matte white, and this one is called Frequency. Let me just scooch here. Okay, so it looks like a pretty decent white. It's one of the ones I didn't try with my eye looks. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think the palette could have done without it, to be honest with you, but I'll get into it a little bit later. Okay, so this one is Frequency. Then the next one is one of the shimmer shades, which is called Arcade, which is a really pretty kind of pinky champagne shimmer. The next one is this kind of spring mid-green called Replica. That one looks really pretty there. And then the last of the top row is this really cool, like, what's the right word? It's like a true bright blue. And that one's called Outrun. Okay, so those are the first 4 shades. So let's move into the second row. The next one is this lavender, which is the one that's on the upper part of my eye right here. And this one is Sequence. Then the next one is a teal, and that one is, I think it's Proxy. And I am just swatching them once, like I'm not like going back in at all, so they do look like this right away. So the next one is this orangey kind of color, and I think this one is Quick Save. And then the last one of that row is another shimmer, and that's called Mainframe. That's very pretty. Okay, so it's kind of like a red, berry, orangey kind of thing. It's a mix. It's a lot of different colors in there. Okay, so that is the first 2 rows. So let's go ahead and just get all the stuff off me. That's what the trousers are for. Okay. Sorry, the sun is kind of coming in and out of clouds right now, so I'm grateful that there is sun today. We'll just put it that way. The next one is a shimmery white called Overdrive. It's kind of almost silvery in the way that it looks, but it's more just a shimmer white. Then we have Synth, which is a shimmery purple. It's almost duochromy in the way that it goes on the eye. I'm wearing it here on this side, and you can see that it can kind of go lean cool or warm depending on what it's next to. And then the last 2 shades, we have this bright pink called Caps Lock. Okay, and then the last one is a dark purple called Night Call. That one didn't swatch great. Let's go ahead for the second round. Okay, so it didn't swatch good, but I have used it here on my eyes, so I know it does work pretty well actually on the eye. Okay, so that's the color story. It's very fun, very cute, so I really like all these colors. But we will talk about some changes that I think could have been made to this palette to make it even better. All right, I'm just gonna scooch. I'm gonna scooch to this side today. Do I normally scooch? I don't know where I scooch. It's been like a week since I filmed anything, so I don't know what's going on today. And I got my hair cut. Do you guys notice? It's also blonde at the moment. I will dye it pink again on Sunday, but I had to bleach it twice to get to this color, so I'm giving it a few days off, so to speak. Okay, so let me show you the looks. So they weren't really fully formed looks. I just wanted to really try the eyeshadows out on my eyes. So if they look a little bit mishmashed, that's fair. I was just throwing color on my eye. And also, I think one of the things that I noticed about this palette playing with it is that it seems to lack a little bit of depth, but we will get there. Okay, so the first look, I never remember to say this. For the first 2 looks, I used the Smashbox 24-hour Photo Finish Primer, which you know is one of my favorites. And then for this one that's on my eye now, I used the Hourglass Veil Primer, which right now is my #1 eye primer. Okay, so for look number 1, I decided to go on the pinky toned adventure. So I started with the bright pink Caps Lock and kind of just put it all over the top and middle part of my eye. I just put it kind of everywhere. I just wanted to see what kind of intensity and power behind it that we had. And it was okay. It's interestingly not as pigmented as I thought it would be, looking at it in the pan, and then even swatching it on the arm where it comes out really intensely, but I felt working it onto the eye, it did kind of blend away a little bit, so full honesty there with that particular shade, but it did look very pretty. Then I went into, the orange one, Quick Save here, and I went ahead and put that kind of more on the inner part of the eye, and then just kind of tried to blend the 2 together to give it a bit of a orangey pink vibe with that. Is that the right way to say it? Vibe? Sure. And this one I actually did have a little bit of problems with. Again, as you work it, it seems to kind of fade a little bit, so it's not as intense as it maybe could have been. And then I also noticed kind of right around here where it seems to be the problem on my eye. And not every shadow does this, so I know it's kind of like my eye combination with specific shadow issue. if that makes sense. That I tend to get some balding right here where the shadow will just not want to stay. No matter how much primer is there, it just doesn't want to, and it definitely happened with this one. And it also felt that it was very transparent, the shadows. And what you get from this is that you're gonna have this really bold, opaque color. And those two I definitely felt were more on the translucent rather than opaque. I then went in with the first shimmer that I showed you, this really pretty one, Arcade, which is kind of like a pinky champagne orangey kind of color, which, sorry, I'm looking for a towel, which I thought went really well with them. The shimmers in this palette are fine, especially this one and the purple one. Those ones are my favorites out of this palette. Shimmer worked fine. No issues there. So anyway, that's the first one that I attempted. All right, the next one, I wanted to go in with the blues and the green. So I went in first with the teal color. I think that's, well, it's this one. Is that Proxy, which I think is really pretty, and it does have a lot of nice vibrancy to it. So I went in with that one first. Then I went in with Outrun, the green color, to try and emphasize, like, I just wanted it to be fun, kind of green, blue, fun time. I said fun like 12 times in a row there, sorry. Just wanted it to be cute. So I went in with the green, and then I went in with Outrun, so Replica and Outrun and Proxy. Those are the three colors, the three mattes. And what I noticed blending them out is that they had the same kind of quality that the first two that I used had. So they have a slight translucency to them, so they're not fully opaque the moment you set them down, which means they're softer and a little easier to blend, but then you are lacking some of the color intensity behind them. And then the teal and the bright blue did seem to kind of look similar when blended out on the eye. I then went in with a shimmer. I went in with the white shimmer, Overdrive. It's okay. It's not one that I'm probably personally going to reach for very much, so that's okay though. It is a perfectly fine shimmery white kind of shade. It's just, I really prefer the shimmers to have a little bit of like something fun to them. It could be that when you mix this really well on top of another color, you can get kind of a duochrome effect, but initially it just wasn't my absolute favorite of the shimmers. So those are the first two. And then I'll just show you this one. So remember, I'm using a different primer this time, which I definitely think helped. And I'm actually going to suggest, and I will just here now, use a primer with a little bit of a color to it, so, or white. So what I mean is, like, the ABH primer has like a whitish kind of tone to it, or there's even ones where you get like a paler kind of tone. And I think having that light color underneath of these will help them to pop. Let's just give that a go. Oops. So this is the P. Louise one, which you know I don't like, but it's there and we can use it. Sorry, I'll show you the look in a moment. I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to play with. So I put way too much on here, so let's all just appreciate that. So I'm sure you can see that this white bit right here is where I have some primer, and then I'll also show you down here. And I'm going to use the pink one because I think that's going to show up the best on camera. So if I put the pink here, just on my skin with the brush, it looks kind of translucent. You can kind of see through it. It's not as bright as when it's swatched. It's actually, this is what it looks like when you're applying it. Just remember, I'm doing a stippling motion with a brush, and this is what I'm getting. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing, but on top of the primer. And can you see the difference there? So I think the primer that you choose is going to be really important with this palette. And you know me, I don't like to like work. It's like I want it to work with whatever I have on my eyes, but the Smashbox primer is pretty much transparent and very slippy. And I think for some of these impactful colors, what you want is something that's a little bit more sticky and a little bit lighter than the color itself. So something that's more on the white or kind of even a light pink. But I think that's a pretty big difference there between color intensity. And I think if I had gone with a primer more like this one, like I would have used the ABH, not this P. Louise one, I think I would have had a better result. So let's just kind of keep that in mind. Oh my gosh, but here, if you want to see the fallout, there you go. Not fallout, kick up in the pan, that's what it's called. Okay, so the final look is the one that I'm wearing on my eyes here. I went in first with Sequence, which is this beautiful lavender color. I really love it. And even without like a really bright base, I think the Hourglass base is just really incredible. I got a really beautiful color with it. It's really intensely lavender, very vibrant, and it is more on the opaque side compared to some of the other ones, which for a lavender color I think is quite surprising and quite nice. So I really enjoyed that. So I just went in and put it all over the kind of up in the crease and just kind of faded it out. Then I went in with Night Call, which is such a beautiful purple, like it's, what's the right word for the tone that it is? Let me have a look in the mirror here. So for me, a lot of the purples that I've been working with recently have a really pinky kind of undertone to them. This one is more on the blue side, which I love. So it's a little bit cooler of a purple, I hope you can see that there, and less on the pinky side. So for me, this dark purple is going to be a staple purple for me. I really like it, and I need more blue purples in my life. I love it. Went on really well. Again, you know, just be careful kind of in the placement of it. It is really dark and really intense. I got a tiny little bit of patchiness, but just a little bit of blending, and that went away. So I really enjoyed those two colors, those two mattes. Excellent. Typical, amazing, lethal quality there. Then I went in with the shimmer, which is Synth. This shimmer is beautiful. It is so pretty. It's hard to appreciate from here on these little swatches, but it has almost a duochrome kind of vibe to it, which I think is so fun, and I really loved this color. It went on beautifully, and it really complemented the two purples next to it, and so I think I got like a really vibrant purple cool look. All right, let's come back into the middle. I'm very matchy. Purple here, coral here, and then purple and coral in the shirt. Feeling very coordinated. Okay, so my overall thoughts and maybe some suggestions. Okay, so there are some, I don't want to say quality issues because I think the quality is fine, but I think there's a bit of opacity issues with some of the brighter colors, and I think neons are a bit on the harder side to make, so I'm not overly shocked or surprised by that. I think that's something that could definitely happen. So just think very carefully about the primers that you choose to get that really bright vibrancy. I think the palette could have done with a little bit more refinement to make it work a bit better as like an everyday palette. For some people, I think this is definitely going to be complimentary, sometimes just something fun to bring out. But for me, I wear bright colors every day pretty much, and I want something that's going to really work as not like quite an everyday palette, but have it so if I just took the one palette with me, I could effectively get a nice look every day. So I think in this palette, I think there's three colors that really don't make sense to me. One is the white. I'm just not a fan of white eyeshadow, and I understand the purpose, and I think it is really pretty, but it's not something that I'm probably going to use that much. So for me, I think you could have done with something else instead of that one. This shimmer, I would have liked either a more bluey shimmer or a more kind of neon pinky shimmer, I think, to kind of match what we're doing in this palette. And this really dark shimmer, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me, and I would have rathered a darker matte, either in the pinky kind of tones. I was trying to see if I had one that I thought would work from Lethal, but like imagine, sorry, this is on a different tangent, but imagine if this palette had this shimmery green in it. Like how cool would that? We should do that. Let's make this into something else. Okay, I just want to switch out that one just to see. But I know it's a bit obnoxiously bright, but come on, this one would have gone so well with all of these colors here. Not so well with these ones, but then you have the other shimmers, and then if this shimmer was slightly different as well, either with a blue tone to it, or even with a brighter pinky kind of tone, or even an orangey tone, I think it would have worked a little bit better, and then I would have switched this one out with a bright yellow, personally. I think that would have been more fun with the palette, and would have balanced it, I think, a little bit better. So overall, quality is good. I don't think it's as good as some of the other Lethal products that I've had. Products? I think some of the shadows are not maybe as good as some of the other Lethal shadows that I have, but they are very soft, very easy to blend, and if you use a good primer, I think you can get really excellent pigmentation with them. The shimmers are phenomenal. The only thing for me that I think could have been improved with this is just a couple of tiny adjustments to the color story. Just a little bit, like another bright color instead of the white, and then maybe replacing that white shimmer, which again, it's just not my favorite. I'm also still waiting on my Kaleidos Escape Pod palettes, and so I think I actually want to compare this one, this kind of color story, against that one, because I think there's a lot of similarities in there, so forthcoming. Alright everyone, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you could hit the like button down below, or you could subscribe and come hang out with me again. I am doing some pre-filming at the moment, so there will be more videos coming next week, unlike this past week, which was a dud for videos. I just couldn't do any of them, so anyway. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye!